The Third Colombo War began in the early 90s, but originated in 1986. In 1986, Colombo family boss Carmine Jr. Persico was sentenced to 139 years in prison during the commission trial, which attempted to take down the bosses of the 5 families in New York. Even though Persico was in prison, he still wanted to keep his position as boss of the Colombo family. He appointed Colombo captain Victor Little Vic Arena to the position of acting boss while Persico was in prison. Vic was supposed to keep the seat warm until Alphonse Little Alley Boy Persico, the son of boss Carmine Persico, got out of prison. For a while, things were running smoothly, just as Junior wanted, but things would soon change. Arena liked the power, money, and status that he had as boss, and didn't want to give up his seat as boss when Alley Boy got out of prison. Because of this, and other mobsters encouraging him to take over the family, he decided to attempt a takeover. By the early 90s, Arena began sending his consigliere, Carmine Sessa, to go to all the family captains, and ask them if they would back Arena in his plan to take over the family. This eventually got back to Junior, since many of his relatives were also a part of the family. When Junior learned of this, he ordered Carmine Sessa to assemble a hit team and get rid of Vic. In June of 1991, Carmine Sessa and the hit team attempted to assassinate Arena, but he spotted them from a distance and managed to escape. This incident resulted in an internal feud in the Colombo family, one faction being those loyal to Vic Arena, and the other faction being loyal to Carmine Persico. Gunmen from each faction would be hunting for the opposite faction daily, and the violence would affect the whole city. The violence was usually contained between mobsters, and civilians were not being harmed, but this would soon change. On December 8, 1991, James Malpizzo, the 21-year-old son of Arena faction soldier Louis Bobo Malpizzo, was shot in the chest. He was dropped off at Coney Island Hospital to receive treatment and refused to cooperate with the authorities. When his father was told about what happened to his son, he was livid and desperate for revenge. He suspected gunmen associated with the Persico faction of the family had shot his son. Malpizzo met up with Arena faction captain Joey Amato. They organized a hit team that consisted of associates Anthony Liberatore and along with his son Christopher. Anthony and Christopher wanted to increase their rank in the Arena faction, so they accepted the contract. Anthony and Christopher were told to go find Anthony Ferrara and Frank Guerra, who were associates of Teddy Persico, a captain in the Persico faction and younger brother of the boss of the family, Carmine Persico. The pair drove to the houses of Anthony Ferrara and Frank Guerra. Anthony and Christopher could not find either of the targets, despite them driving by their houses multiple times. Their last stop was Wana Bagel, which was located at 8905 3rd Avenue in Brooklyn. The bagel shop was supposedly owned by Anthony Ferrara and Frank Guerra. Christopher Liberatore walked into the shop when there were no customers inside. He checked the back of the shop looking for Ferrara and Guerra, but neither of them were there. He then asked Matteo Speranza, the 17-year-old working behind the counter, where Ferrara and Guerra were. Matteo asked why he was looking for them, and reached for something under the counter. Seeing Matteo reach under the counter made Christopher think he was possibly reaching for a gun. Because of this, he pulled his gun out and shot Matteo in the head, chest, and back before fleeing the scene.
Police say this morning around 9:15, just after 18-year-old Matteo Speranza opened up the bagel shop, he was shot to death.
I heard 5 gunshots, and 2 in a row, and then 3 after it. I got out there and looked out my window, and I heard his car speeding down the avenue.
I was sick this morning. I saw him being taken out, and I said, oh my God. I couldn't do anything. I looked at it.
The murder of Matteo Speranza enraged both the public and the police. It was widely thought that the mob only hurt people who were involved in crime and never harmed innocent civilians. This murder disproved that and brought more heat from the police against the Colombo family. When members of both factions of the Colombo family were arrested in a sweep in 1993, Bobo Malpizzo, Joey Amato, and Anthony and Christopher Liberatore were among them. Anthony and Christopher agreed to testify against Malpizzo and Amato, telling the whole story of why the murder of an innocent teen took place. Rest in peace, Matteo Speranza.